So, first of all, I'm so happy and excited that the inspiration for my talk are my children, Sarah, Frady, Matteo, and Sophia. And they're all here today. You all met Matteo already. So, they're not really churchgoers, but I'm so grateful that you guys are here for this. And where's Laura? That Spirit song was perfect, absolutely perfect. And Paulette, you did half of my talk. And Marlena, that was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you. So this is a acrostic poem. And those of you who don't know what an acrostic poem is, it's when you write a word vertically and put descriptions that start with the letters of that word. So, can you see? All right. Okay. So this is poverty, painful, overwhelming, vulnerable, exhausting, reprehensible, terrifying, and yearning. And I'm just going to read you quickly definition of poverty from the World Bank organization, because that leads into my talk. Poverty is hunger, poverty is lack of shelter. Poverty is being sick and not being able to see a doctor. Poverty is not having access to school and not knowing how to read. Poverty is not having a job. It is fear for the future, living one day at a time. Poverty has many faces, changing from place to place and across time, and has been described in many ways. Most often, poverty is a situation people want to escape. So poverty is a call to action for the poor and the wealthy alike, a call to change the world so that so many more may have enough to eat, adequate shelter, access to education and health, protection from violence, and a voice in what happens in their communities. So recently, I spent 10 days immersed in the utmost poverty I have ever experienced. And I've been traveling quite a bit across the world. In fact, this dress I bought in Casablanca, Morocco several years ago. And I've been all over Europe, and I've been over large parts of Central America. I always told people I grew up in poverty, and as a single mom of 3 children, we were poor. But in honor to show my solidarity with my son-in-law, Frady, I gifted myself a trip to El Salvador this Christmas and spent 10 days immersed in the biggest poverty I've ever experienced, seen, or even read about. And it was an incredibly humbling, like you said, Paulette, humbling experience. Now, Frady and Sarah tried to prepare me for what to expect. And I'm pretty open-minded because I've traveled a lot and I've immersed myself in cultures. I work at a prison. I have Muslims, I have Jehovah's Witnesses, I have Israelites, I have Latinos, Black people, all kinds of cultures, and they all teach me because I want to learn from them. So, and a lot of them grew up in poverty and became criminals because of that. But prepping and prepping, all the prepping that Sarah and Frady did not make me ready for what I walked into. But I told people I wasn't going on a vacation, but rather a cultural exploration. Instead, I encountered a world like I'd never seen before. And as when I thought I was poor, I never lacked warm showers, fresh water. I always had a roof over my head and food on the table. But the only thing I had and still have in common with people I met in El Salvador is the love of family and the connectiveness that when you have a family that sticks together and everybody loves each other, you have almost everything you need, plus food and shelter. But on the first day, on the long trip from the airport in San Salvador to the Campo in the mountains of El Salvador, we stopped at the home of Frady's brother Rene and his family. They lived in a city, San Miguel, so not out in the mountains. But they were warm and welcoming from the get-go. Their biggest pride was a very small bathroom with a cold setting only shower and a flushable toilet. They were so excited to show me that they had this. And then she said, look, we have toilet paper. And she pointed to a big pack with excitement. She took great pride in her kitchen. Now there's the first picture. The kitchen built, the house or the apartment building built on dirt floor, okay? Can you find it? Okay. There was a banana tree growing out of the floor. See? The top, you see the leaves? The roots were in the floor, in the kitchen, and then the tree took half of the roof, the ceiling. So, fresh bananas anytime you wanted them. And since they don't get any snow, there's the dirt floor, since they don't get any snow in El Salvador, so the rainy season, the leaves were pretty well serving as an umbrella. But can you imagine having a tree growing in your kitchen, going through the ceiling? Wow, pretty cool actually. Yeah, so that picture was great. We were a little nervous about the picture. So then we headed further out of the city into the mountains. The Campos are small communities made up mostly of family and extended family members. They live within they live within each other's vicinity, walking distance, so they can visit each other and hang out with each other. And most of the time, driving there, we couldn't go faster than 10 kilometers per hour because the roads are so bad. They make Michigan roads look like luxurious avenues. First, finally we made it. My home for the next 10 days was a small house built from mud and wood. Now we need picture 2. So, this was actually the guest house. This was Freddie's nephew had started building his own little house next to his parents' house, and it was unfinished, but it was finished enough for us to stay in it. So inside is one large room, and that's where we stayed for the next 10 days. And that's pretty much how the whole yard looked, what you can see there. Lots of plants, dirt, brush, whatever, and the houses are commonly built like that. As my daughter gave me the tour, my heart sank. Sheltered by brush and bushes were the bathtub / kitchen sink / laundry. That's the next picture, Della. Yeah, it's okay. Sheltered brush and bushes, okay, it's called a pila by the natives. A large round stone tub. No, it's not up there yet. It's okay. A large round stone tub which was supplied with water from a well, and it was used for doing the dishes, doing the laundry, and bathing and showering. We would getting closer. We would soak the dishes with powdered soap and then rinse them off by dunking bowls into the water. Can't get it?
I will, but I'm sorry, not as fast.
My description is a little more meaningful. There you go. Okay. See that tank on the bottom there? That was filled with well water, and we couldn't get that dirty. We had to keep that clear. So we would take bowls, soak the dishes, rub them with dish detergent, and then take water out of that again to clean them, and then set them for air dry. Laundry, we scrubbed our laundry on stones like the old washboards. Same thing, we couldn't put anything in there. It had to stay clean. Just taking a bowl and dunking out. And that's how we took a shower too. And thank goodness for the warm weather in El Salvador. It was rather lukewarm and not cold, but did I say that good enough, Sarah? By the way, what you just saw there is twice as large now, thanks to Freddie, who rebuilt it while we were there. So it's twice as large now. But the real shock came when they took me to the outhouse. Now, I was imagining one of those little plastic, no, that's the wrong, just leave it up there, it comes next. Yeah, the outhouse was, I expected one of those cubicles that you find in fairgrounds, right? No. It was a very rather small, built from cement or mud, I don't remember, square building with inside was a cement block with a hole in the center, and you could look about 8 feet down, and a curtain for the door. But the worst part was that from the bottom of the hole, there was an army of flies and bees and mosquitoes and yellow jackets coming up. And I said, oh my God, I said, there's no way in, and you can insert a cuss word here, that I'm going to use that. And so 10 days, right? What are you going to do? Well, you have a vast backyard. Just let me use your imagination. So at first I poured a bottle of bleach into the hole and sprayed the buzzing army with Lysol, but that only helped for like a couple of minutes, and then they were right back up, so that didn't work. And so I just, resorted to finding a nice little secluded spot in the backyard where I had it to equip with toilet paper and doggy bags every day. And Mateo, who was still potty training, absolutely loved it, that he could go pee and poop anywhere he wanted to. Because after hearing my reaction to that outhouse, if he hadn't seen my reaction, he might have not had a problem with it, but he was there and Sarah said, Mom, you can't say that in front of him. He didn't want to use the outhouse either. By the way, Sarah didn't want to either. But anyways, and in the meantime, they have a flushing toilet, or not a toilet that flushes, but a real toilet. Thanks to Frady, because he rebuilt that. But, so Frady's sister, who didn't speak any English, so we just communicated with gestures and hugs and my broken Spanish and her non-existing English. But what she figured out very quickly was that I love coffee with lots of sugar, and she had that ready before I even got out of bed every morning. It was brewing for me on a little fireplace. And once I made breakfast with fried potatoes and eggs, and after that she made sure we had fried eggs and potatoes every day too. So she showed me her appreciation of me being there by doing that. And eggs, as you may or may not know, don't need to be refrigerated if they come straight from the nest. There's this covering on it that protects them from going bad, so they can sit out for a long time. And when we buy them in the grocery store, that cover has been removed, so we have to refrigerate them. But they had plenty of chickens, and a lively flock was part of their family, as were 4 dogs and 5 cats, who had all adopted themselves into the family. And there was never a shortage of eggs, though. But in order to get groceries, we had to go to the nearest town. And a lot of people in El Salvador have motorcycles in their home rather than cars. And they religiously wear the helmets. Our American motorcycle riders could learn a lesson from them. They really wear their helmets. But some people make a living of giving rides. So this is your typical public transportation. A truckload of people standing, sitting, and crammed in the back of a truck. And some people do that for a living, and other, just if they have a truck and they drive by walking people, they just stop. You need a ride? Where are you going? And so a quick trip to Bush's or Myers or Kroger, forget that. Never anywhere in El Salvador. But our first trip to a supermarket, I picked up a 24-pack of toilet paper for Frady's family. So, by the way, forget the GPS. Now you can find the next picture. Forget the GPS. Not a single road in the mountains has a name. So you have to memorize how to get to places. Way home from town. First go down that road with all the dips from the water drainage. Shortly after you pass the water plant, yeah, that's the water plant right there on the bottom. Water plant, which is essentially a watering hole. You can see the baby cows. Turn right. First road on the left has a fallen bamboo branch going across the street, and you can fit just under there. And drive a long way. Until the right side is a solid smooth walls with deep cliffs on the right. You are now on the land of the campo you're heading to. Past the burn clearing and you have arrived. Be prepared for the roads to get progressively worse on your way there. Now, as most families whose homes I visited, several family members share beds. Freddie's nephew had started a building on his own, which you saw earlier, and next to his mom's house, or his abuela's house, actually. Okay. That's what it looked like on the inside. That was our living room, bedroom, and I removed one picture that showed us sharing a bed because I didn't want the picture of the kids out in public. So, but it's actually a wonderful blessing when you're an Abba. I'm not a grandma. I'm not old enough to be a grandma. So I'm Abuelita and the kids call me Abba. But waking up with one kid across your belly and the other one over your head is actually a beautiful experience. So, but yeah, Freddie slept in the hammock, and Sarah and Sophia and Matteo and I shared a bed. And the floor is dirt. Yep, there she goes. So hammocks, while we stayed with, so we had this to our own, but some families that I met along the way actually crammed mom, dad, and 2 or 3 children into one bed. But that's next, keep that up there. So hammocks are a big thing in El Salvador. Not only do they make great beds, but they also, it took me a long time to learn not to fall out of it while I was trying to get myself settled in. But they also generate income. So this is Freddie's mom. She's 81 years old, and she still helps out this making hammocks. So they have these big bamboo sticks, and they stretch the hammock material from one end to the other, and families, that's part of their income, is making the hammocks. And like I said, she's 81 years old, and she's still very productive for the family, which is wonderful. Sending old people to a home in El Salvador is unheard of. They all live together. And my kids have already promised me that I will never go to an old folks home. If I need it, they've got space for me already lined up, because Freddie's mentality says, yeah, there's no way we're going to put her in a home. She's going to be with us for the rest of her life. She needs it. I won't be needing that for a while, but still, it's nice to know. Another wisely used means of making money is, for people, is to set up pupusa stands. So pupusas are hard to describe. Sarah, how would you describe a pupusa? Stuffed tortilla? Okay. And not a good picture to be talking about the food, that's okay. So people make pupusas and sell them freshly made from their house. So there's stands all over. They also sell jewelry and purses, all handmade. So that's, people will wake up in the morning, feel good enough, they put up a little stand in front of their house, kind of like an everyday yard sale that you can do whenever you want to at the spur of a moment. And no food license is required for the pupusas, but that's okay. They're very good, very awesome. Sophia. Our meals were often rice with mashed beans, regardless of whether you ate breakfast, lunch, or dinner. On New Year's Eve, Freddie's sister made a couple hundred tamales, so they are meat and potato cornmeal mix wrapped up in the corn stuff, and then cooked. And they're very tedious to make, but Sarah and I learned how to do them. Not that I'm going to replicate that here, so I didn't bring any for the potluck today. But it's a very popular food for special occasions. So we made this for New Year's Eve, and a few days, in the days following, family members came from far and near to either buy some pupusas, buy some tamales, or bring other food in exchange for the tamales. So that meant a lot of visitors, and which was, a special occasion for that. So Freddie has 2 nieces living with their mom and his mother, and they're 13 and 16. And they can only go to school on Saturday for 2 hours. And their older brother takes one at a time on his motorcycle to school, and then at the end of the school day, he picks them back up. So education is extremely difficult to obtain. And the 16-year-old confided in us that she really wants to leave El Salvador because she wants to have a future. And so we're trying our hardest to get them over here, but we're not sure if it's going to work. It's incredibly, El Salvador's got to be one of the hardest countries to do an overseas adoption from. Wouldn't you say, Sarah? Yeah. So, well, other experiences. Huge spiders. Now we put the spider up. That was one of the smaller ones. As you can see next to the soccer ball, regular size soccer ball, how big that spider was. The biggest one, I think, was the size of my hand. The body, just the body, was the size of my hand, and then the legs around. That's the one you killed, Sarah, right? It was, yeah, it made, we left them alone if we saw them on the outside, but one made it inside the house, and my very peaceful, loving daughter went, bam. We weren't having that.
I looked at Freddie and said, "Is it poisonous?" And he said, "Oh yeah." And I said, "All right, then it's gotta go."
They were poisonous? Oh, I guess I'm lucky that when Mateo and okay, because when Sarah would rock Sophia to sleep, Mateo and I had to sit outside, and I would play on my phone, and he would play on his little tablet until she was asleep, and then we could go back inside, and we were frequently visited by those things, and if I would have known they were poisonous, I might have not been so quiet. I'd, just leave us alone. We'll be fine. You'll be fine. Wow. Okay. Well, and then another experience I had was Pika Pika. Pika Pika is kind of like poison ivy, but a lot worse. So poison ivy, you can leave that up. Pika Pika is, like poison ivy, but a lot worse. You have to have intensive treatment to get rid of it. And I first thought, I woke up one morning with my arm burning, really burning, and I thought it was ants, because there was some little ants crawling in my bed too. But the girls were looking at, oh no, you got Pika Pika. I'm like, okay. There's a plant like a poison ivy, and I didn't even touch it. I was in the vicinity of it. And then, the little particles that are flying in the air got to my arm. And it got so bad that I had to go to a doctor. And it took an hour and a half to drive to find a doctor. However, imagine this, doctor's visit, 2 prescriptions, consulting visit, 2 prescriptions, $12. $12. And he wanted to give me a shot too, and I declined, and he was laughing at me, but I said, no, it was a cortisone shot, I didn't want that. But then we had to hurry back home, because that was the day I had to be at the airport. I went home after 10 days. Sarah and Freddie stayed a little longer. And I took some medication and the lotion I got in the airport in New York City where I first landed. And when I came home, I realized I must have left it there, did not bring it with me. And but the prescription that I got was actually available on Amazon. Prescription antibiotic available on Amazon. So I guess there's lower level of antibiotics and higher level antibiotics. I paid twice as much on Amazon for that than I paid in El Salvador, but if I would have had to take my prescription to an American doctor and get the consultation and the medication, I easily would have spent $200-300. So, or when Sarah was in El Salvador for 6 months, she contracted what's called chikungunya, which is like Zika, but a lot worse. So the Pika Pika is to poison ivy with chikungunya is to Zika. So Sarah suffered from that for numerous years. But when she came home and consulted a doctor here, they didn't know what to do. They had to call El Salvador to find out how to treat her. So, yeah. But anyways, skipped a couple things. So, now the babies that you see him playing over there, Mateo is 4. Hi, Mateo. 4. Yep, he's 4. Sophia is 17 months now or 18? 19, oh my God. So they discovered how fun it is to chase chickens around the yard and build mud pies instead of playing with tablets. And like I said earlier, Mateo thoroughly enjoyed the fact that he could go and do his business anywhere he wanted to outside. So, but eventually, before I went home, my tolerance for the living conditions grew. And in retrospect, I think it only grew because in the back of my head, I knew this was temporary. I'm not so sure if I would have adapted if I had thought about having to spend the rest of my life there. El Salvador is by far one of the most beautiful countries I've visited in my lifetime. So there's the volcano that we saw frequently, and then you can get to the next one too. Yeah, I think so, if I did that right. Nope, not that one. Oh, then the one before, maybe. Yeah, that was one of them. No, there. This is like beautiful. Look at that. And this one here.
I have to share it differently. Even though we see it, the people on Zoom.
Oh, this is sugarcane. Well, the stalks are like almost as tall as this building here, sugarcane. And banana trees on the left side for you. So I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And then the volcano. That was wonderful. I don't need the next pictures. Because the quality is not really good. So overall, this trip was more valuable more than one way than most of my other trips. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. I had learned that I'd become too spoiled, and I took too many things for granted. I also realized that my grandbabies are extremely fortunate because they really grow up knowing what is special in the United States that so many children here take for granted. And I think that's an invaluable experience for them. And we're going back once a year, so they will stay connected to this every year. And family connections are the most spiritual glue I can think of. The family, they're supporting each other. For example, this is an example that we probably wouldn't see in the United States. Grandma and his parents are divorced, which is unusual in El Salvador because El Salvador does not approve of divorce, but she kicked him out. But he lives in walking distance in his own little place. She still does his laundry and cooks him food and brings it over there every day. And when he gets bored, he comes over and drives her crazy. So it's like, they're still family, they have children together, so there's still this bond, and they support each other, and that's what the campos are about too. They're all family members, they stay close together. If somebody's in need of anything, the family's right there. And Sarah and Freddie moved from New York to Dundee, just so they could be close to their mama. And her grandparents live here too. So yeah, family connections to me are the most spiritual glue. And I know that living in poverty, I never thought of being poor because I had all those things that these people in El Salvador don't have. And when I came home, the first thing I did, stood in a steaming hot shower for half an hour. Just stood there and let it, because I could, right? I could. Another thing I did was I went stir crazy on Amazon. I bought, I don't know, just because I could. And then I said, wait a minute, I can't do this anymore. Now I make a conscious choice. I do not buy anything anymore without asking myself, do I really need this? Because if I don't need it, I don't buy it, because I really have everything I want. So I had some more pictures of acrostic poems from my students, but the quality is not really good, but I've got printouts of them because I work in a prison, and my students, a lot of them understood the concept of poverty, and they all, not all, but a lot of them wrote some poems too, like in this style. And I'm now talking about this again, I can't stop. I'm in awe of what I experienced, and it's, yeah, I don't know what else to say. It was, I can't put it into words. Thanks.